She had $10 left in the world, enough for 3 days of her daughter's survival, and she gave it to a dying stranger in an alley, not knowing he was the ruthless Korean boss. Maya's fingers were numb. Not from the cold, though the apartment hadn't seen heat in 6 days. Numb from holding the medicine bottle so tight her knuckles had gone white an hour ago. She unscrewed the cap, poured half the pink liquid into a coffee mug, filled the bottle back up with tap water, shook it. The color thinned to something that looked like dirty dishwater. But Ari wouldn't know the difference. She was only 4. 4-year-olds don't know their mother is watering down, the only thing keeping their lungs from collapsing. Maya's stomach folded in on itself. A deep, wet growl that she covered with a cough. She hadn't eaten in 2 days. Ari had eaten yesterday. A sleeve of crackers and the last yogurt cup. Today there was nothing left except the $10 bill tucked inside, Maya's coat pocket, and the choice that came with it. Medicine or food, not both. She looked at the bottle in her hand. 3 doses left. Maybe 4 if she kept diluting it. The cough had started 3 weeks ago. A small thing. Nothing to panic over. Then it turned wet. Then Ari started wheezing at night, her little chest pulling in with every breath like her ribs were trying to meet in the middle. The clinic wanted $40 just to be seen. Maya had laughed. Not because it was funny, because $40 might as well have been $4,000. She set the bottle on the counter and pressed her palms flat against the formica. The surface was sticky. Everything in this place was sticky. The floors, the walls, the air itself. Her daughter was asleep in the other room, curled under 2 jackets because they didn't have a second blanket. Maya had checked on her 10 minutes ago. Ari's lips were pale, her breathing shallow and quick. 3 more days. That's what $10 bought. 3 days of hoping the cough went away on its own. 3 days of pretending she wasn't listening for the moment her daughter stopped breathing in the night. Maya pulled the bill from her pocket. It was old, soft. The kind of soft that came from being handled by 1,000 desperate hands before hers. She stared at Alexander Hamilton's face and wondered if he'd ever had to choose between food and medicine. Probably not. She put on her coat, wrapped a scarf around her face, kissed Ari's forehead without waking her. Then she stepped into the hallway and locked the door behind her with a key that stuck every time. The cold outside wasn't just cold. It was violent. The kind of winter that slipped under your clothes and pressed against your bones until you forgot what warmth felt like. Maya walked fast. The grocery store was 4 blocks away. She'd buy a loaf of bread and a jar of peanut butter. That would stretch. Maybe a week if she was smart about it. She passed the boarded-up laundromat. The check cashing place with bars on the windows. A man sleeping in a doorway with newspapers over his legs. Then she heard it. A sound like wet breathing, rhythmic, desperate. She stopped walking. The alley to her left was dark, not the kind of dark you walk into unless you're stupid or suicidal, but the sound was coming from there. A man's voice, low, choking. Maya should have kept walking, should have pulled her scarf tighter and pretended she didn't hear anything. But her feet turned toward the alley. Her body moved before her brain caught up. She saw him halfway back, slumped against a dumpster, blood pooling under him in a shape that looked too big to come from one person. His shirt was soaked through, black in the dim light. His hand pressed against his side like he was trying to hold himself together. He looked up. Their eyes met. Maya's breath caught. Not because of the blood, because of his face. He wasn't old. Maybe 30, maybe younger. But his eyes were ancient, empty. The kind of empty that came from seeing too much and feeling too little. He didn't ask for help, didn't say anything. Just looked at her like he was memorizing her face before he died. Maya's hand went to her pocket. Her fingers closed around the $10 bill. She thought about Ari, about the bread and peanut butter, about 3 more days. Then she thought about this man dying alone in an alley while she walked past with groceries. Her hands were shaking when she knelt beside him. The slush soaked through her jeans immediately, cold and filthy. She pulled the bill from her pocket and pressed it into his palm. "There's a clinic 2 blocks that way," she said. Her voice didn't sound like hers. "They'll see you for this. Maybe." He stared at the money, then at her. His fingers closed around the bill slowly, like he didn't understand what it was. "Why?" His voice was barely a whisper. Wet. Rattling. Maya didn't answer. She couldn't. Because she didn't know. She stood up. Her legs felt weak, her head light. She turned and walked out of the alley, back onto the street. Her pocket was empty now. Her hands were stained with someone else's blood. And somewhere behind her, a dying man held $10 that was supposed to keep her daughter alive. She had $10 left, her daughter's last chance at survival, and she gave it to a dying stranger. That choice destroyed everything. Before I tell you how, subscribe. Comment where you're watching from. This isn't just a story, it's a warning about what mercy costs. Now turn everything off. This one's going to break you. Maya made it half a block before her legs stopped working. She leaned against a brick wall, her breath coming in short, sharp pulls. Her hands were shaking so hard she had to shove them under her armpits to make them stop. The blood on her fingers was already drying, turning brown at the edges. What did she just do? The question sat in her chest like a stone. Heavy, immovable. She'd given away Ari's medicine money to a man she didn't know. A man who was probably dead by now anyway. A man who might have been a killer for all she knew. Her stomach turned. She doubled over and dry heaved against the wall. Nothing came up. There was nothing left inside her to come up. She should go back. Take the money back. He was probably unconscious by now. He wouldn't even know. But her feet wouldn't move toward the alley. They just stood there on the frozen sidewalk, while her daughter slept 4 blocks away with 3 doses of watered-down medicine, and a mother who'd just chosen a stranger over her. Maya pushed off the wall, started walking, not toward home, not toward the alley, just walking because standing still felt like drowning. She didn't know how long she walked. Could have been 10 minutes, could have been an hour. The cold didn't register anymore. Nothing registered except the sound of Ari's wet cough playing on loop in her head. When she finally looked up, she was standing in front of the apartment building. Her building. The one with the broken buzzer and the stairs that smelled like piss and mildew. She climbed them slowly. Each step felt like lifting concrete. By the time she reached her door, her hands were shaking again. She couldn't get the key in the lock. It took 3 tries. Inside, Ari was still asleep, still breathing. Maya stood in the doorway and watched her daughter's chest rise and fall under the 2 jackets. Counted each breath like a prayer. 12 breaths. 13. 14. She walked to the counter, picked up the medicine bottle, shook it. The watered-down liquid sloshed inside. 3 doses, maybe 4, not enough. Maya set the bottle down and pressed her forehead against the cabinet. Her throat was tight, her eyes burned, but she didn't cry. Crying didn't change anything. Crying didn't put food in the fridge, or medicine in the bottle, or heat in the radiator. She pulled off her coat. The pocket was still empty. She could feel the emptiness like a missing tooth, something that should be there but wasn't. That night she didn't sleep. She sat in the dark living room with her back against the couch and listened to Ari breathe. Every wheeze made her flinch. Every cough made her count the doses left in the bottle. By morning, she'd convinced herself the man in the alley was dead, that she'd given $10 to a corpse, that she traded her daughter's survival for nothing. She gave Ari the medicine at sunrise, watched her swallow it with a sip of water. Ari didn't complain about being hungry. She never did. She just looked at Maya with those big brown eyes and asked if they could have pancakes soon. Soon, Maya said. The word tasted like a lie. 2 days passed. Ari's cough got worse. The wheezing turned into something that sounded like a whistle, high and thin. Maya spent both nights sitting beside her daughter's mattress, one hand on Ari's chest, feeling for the moment the breathing stopped. It didn't stop, but it got close. On the third morning, someone knocked on the door. Maya was at the counter, staring at the empty medicine bottle. She'd given Ari the last dose an hour ago. There was nothing left now. No medicine, no money, no options. The knock came again, harder this time. She walked to the door, didn't bother checking the peephole. Didn't matter who it was. Landlord, bill collector, didn't matter. She opened the door. A man stood in the hallway, tall, dark suit. The kind of suit that didn't belong in a building like this. Behind him were two more men. Same suits, same blank expressions. Maya Torres, the first man said. She didn't answer, just looked at him. You need to come with us. I didn't do anything, Maya said. Her voice was flat, empty. We know, the man said. That's why you need to come with us. My daughter's inside. Bring her. Maya's heart kicked against her ribs. Who are you? The man didn't answer. He just stepped aside, and behind him, parked at the curb in front of the building, was a black sedan. Bulletproof windows, engine still running. The back door opened, and the man from the alley stepped out. He wasn't dead, wasn't even bleeding anymore. He stood on the sidewalk in a long black coat, his face pale, but his eyes sharp, fixed on her. He started walking toward the building, toward her. His steps were slow, deliberate. Maya's hand tightened on the door frame. Her pulse hammered in her ears. The man stopped at the bottom of the stairs, looked up at her. You gave me $10, he said. His voice was quiet, controlled. I'm here to pay you back. Maya stood in her doorway staring at the man she'd left bleeding in an alley 3 days ago. He looked different now, clean, put together. The kind of put together that came with money and power. But his eyes were the same, empty, ancient, fixed on her like she was the only thing in the world that mattered. I don't want your money, Maya said. Kenji didn't move. That's not how this works. I didn't do it for money. I know. He took a step forward, not threatening, just closer. That's why I'm here. Behind him, the two men in suits stood perfectly still, hands folded in front of them, eyes scanning the street like they were expecting an attack. My daughter's inside, Maya said again. I know, Kenji said. Ari, 4 years old, chronic respiratory condition, no insurance. You're 3 months behind on rent. The landlord filed eviction papers yesterday. Maya's stomach dropped. How do you... It's handled, Kenji said. The rent, the eviction, all of it. I didn't ask you to... You gave me $10, Kenji interrupted. His voice was quiet, controlled. But there was something underneath it, something sharp. $10 you needed to keep your daughter alive. You gave it to me, a stranger, bleeding out in an alley. He paused. I don't forget debts. I don't want to owe you anything, Maya said. You don't owe me, Kenji said. I owe you. He reached into his coat. Maya flinched. But he just pulled out an envelope. White, thick. He held it out to her. She didn't take it. There's enough in there to cover 6 months of expenses, Kenji said. Rent, food, medicine, whatever Ari needs. I can't. You can. He set the envelope on the railing beside her door. And you will, because your daughter needs it. Maya stared at the envelope. She could see the corners of bills inside. Hundreds, probably. More money than she'd seen in years. What do you want from me? Her voice came out smaller than she meant it to. Kenji was quiet for a long moment. Then, nothing. Nobody gives away money for nothing. I'm not giving it away, Kenji said. I'm paying back what I owe. $10, Maya said. You owe me $10. No. Kenji's jaw tightened. I owe you my life. The weight of those words settled between them, heavy, unmovable. Maya looked at him, really looked, at the expensive coat, the watch on his wrist that probably cost more than her car used to, the way the two men behind him stood like soldiers waiting for orders. "Who are you?" she asked. Kenji didn't answer. "What do you do?" Still nothing. Maya's hands tightened on the doorframe. "I don't want your money if it's dirty." "All money is dirty," Kenji said. "The only question is whether you can afford to be clean." He turned to leave, stopped, looked back at her. "Someone will come by tomorrow," he said, "to install a new lock, security system. My number will be programmed into your phone. You need anything, you call. I don't need—" "Yes, you do." His voice was final. "You just don't want to admit it." He walked down the stairs, got into the sedan. The door closed. The car pulled away. Maya stood there for a long time, staring at the envelope on the railing. Inside, Ari started coughing. Maya grabbed the envelope and went inside. That night, she used $50 from the envelope to buy groceries. Real groceries. Not just bread and peanut butter, chicken, vegetables, milk that wasn't watered down. Ari ate until her stomach hurt. Then she fell asleep with a full belly for the first time in months. Maya sat on the couch and counted the money. $3,000. More than she made in 6 months at the diner before it closed. She should have felt relieved. Instead, she felt trapped. The next morning, 2 men showed up. Different men. Same suits. They installed a new lock, a deadbolt, a chain. Then they installed cameras. One outside her door, one in the hallway. "We don't need cameras," Maya said. The men didn't respond, just finished the job and left. That afternoon, Maya's landlord knocked on her door. He looked nervous, sweaty. "Just wanted to let you know," he said. "The eviction notice, it's been taken care of. You're good for the next year. Paid in full." "I didn't." "I know," the landlord said quickly. "Someone else took care of it. Said you're under protection now, whatever that means." He swallowed. "Look, I don't know what you got yourself into, but people like that, they don't do favors for free." He left before she could respond. That night, Maya couldn't sleep. She lay in bed staring at the ceiling, listening to Ari breathe easy for the first time in weeks. The new medicine, the real medicine, was working. Ari's color was already better. The wheezing almost gone. But Maya felt like she was suffocating. A week passed. Then 2. Kenji didn't come back, but his presence was everywhere. The food in her fridge, the heat in her apartment, the way people on the street looked at her building now, like it was marked. On the 16th day, Maya's phone rang. Unknown number. She answered. "There's a car outside your building," Kenji's voice said. "Get in." "Why?" "Because I'm asking." Maya looked out the window. The black sedan was parked at the curb, engine running. "Where are we going?" "Somewhere safe," Kenji said. "I am safe." "No," Kenji said. "You're not. Not anymore." The line went dead. Maya stood at the window. Ari was at a neighbor's apartment, playing, laughing, happy. Maya grabbed her coat. She walked downstairs, opened the back door of the sedan. Kenji was sitting inside. He looked tired, older than before. There was a fresh bruise on his jaw. "What happened?" Maya asked. "Someone found out about you," Kenji said. "About what you did for me." "So? So now you're a target." He looked at her. "People who want me dead will use you to get to me. I'm nobody to you." "That's not true." His voice was quiet, final. "Not anymore." The car started moving. Maya's hands were shaking. "Where are we going?" "Somewhere they can't reach you," Kenji said. "For how long?" Kenji didn't answer. Maya looked out the window, watched her building disappear behind them, and realized she'd just traded one kind of poverty for another. Listen. What happens next? You can't unhear it. Maya's about to watch the man she's falling for become exactly what she fears. Subscribe if you're ready for that. Share this if someone you know needs to understand what love costs when it's built on violence. Drop a comment, just one word, trapped. Because that's what she is now. Let's see how deep this goes. The safe house was a penthouse 20 floors up. Floor-to-ceiling windows, marble counters, furniture that looked like it belonged in a museum. Maya hated it. She'd been there for 3 days. 3 days of pacing. 3 days of staring at her phone, waiting for permission to call Ari. 3 days of watching Kenji's men stand outside the door like statues. On the fourth morning, Kenji finally let her make the call. The neighbor's voice was shaking. Maya, I'm so sorry, I'm so sorry. Maya's blood went cold. Where's Ari? They came this morning. 2 men. They said you asked them to pick her up. They knew her name. They knew about her medicine. I thought. The phone slipped from Maya's hand. Hit the marble floor. The screen cracked. She couldn't breathe, couldn't think. The room tilted sideways. Kenji was across the room in 3 steps. He picked up the phone. Listened. His face didn't change, but his knuckles went white around the device. He ended the call. Looked at her. They have Ari, Maya said. Her voice didn't sound like hers. It sounded far away, underwater. I know, Kenji said. You know? Maya's hands started shaking, then her arms, then her whole body. You know? I just found out. How long? Maya, how long have they had my daughter? Her voice cracked, broke apart. 2 hours, Kenji said quietly. 2 hours. Ari had been gone for 2 hours while Maya was standing in a penthouse with marble floors and furniture she was afraid to sit on. Maya's legs gave out. She dropped to the floor, her hands pressed against the cold marble. Her breath came in short, sharp gasps that didn't bring any air. Kenji knelt in front of her. Maya, look at me. She couldn't. Couldn't look at anything except the floor. The clean, perfect, expensive floor, while her daughter was somewhere unknown, scared, crying for her mother. They took her because of you, Maya said. The words came out flat, dead. They took her to hurt you. Yes. So fix it. Maya looked up, met his eyes. You do what you do, you fix it, now. It's not that simple. I don't care. Maya's voice was rising, getting louder, sharper. I don't care how complicated it is. I don't care who you have to hurt. I don't care what you have to do. She grabbed his coat, pulled him closer. You get my daughter back. Kenji stared at her. Something shifted in his face, something dark. If I do this, he said slowly, there's no going back. You'll see things, know things. You won't be able to pretend anymore. I don't want to pretend, Maya said. I want my daughter. Kenji stood, pulled out his phone, made a call. I need locations on the Volkov crew, all of them. Now. He paused, listened. I don't care. Burn every asset we have. Find them. He ended the call, made another. We're moving. Full unit, heavy arms. Another pause. No prisoners. He looked at Maya. Stay here. No. Maya. No. She stood. Her legs were still shaking, but she locked her knees, forced them straight. She's my daughter. I'm coming. You don't want to see this. I don't care what I want, Maya said. I'm coming. Kenji studied her face. Then he nodded once. 20 minutes later, they were in a warehouse district. Empty buildings, broken windows. The kind of place where screaming wouldn't matter, because no one was around to hear it. Kenji's men surrounded a concrete building at the end of the block. 8 of them, maybe 10. Maya lost count. They moved like shadows, silent, efficient. Maya stood next to Kenji behind a van. Her heart was hammering so hard she could feel it in her throat. They're inside, one of the men said. 2nd floor, 4 hostels. The girl is in the back room. Alive? Kenji's voice was flat. Yes. Kenji pulled a gun from inside his coat, checked it. The motion was automatic, practiced. Maya stared at the weapon. She'd never seen him with a gun before. never seen him as anything except the man who paid her rent and installed cameras and spoke quietly. This was different. This was who he really was. "When we go in," Kenji said, looking at her, "you stay behind me. You don't move unless I tell you to move. You understand?" Maya nodded. "Say it," Kenji said. "I understand." They moved toward the building. Maya's legs felt like concrete. Every step took effort. Around her, Kenji's men spread out, covering exits, windows, corners. Kenji kicked the door open. The sound was like an explosion in the silence. Then everything happened at once. Shouting, gunfire, the sharp crack of bullets, hitting concrete. Maya pressed herself against the wall, her hands over her ears, her eyes squeezed shut. When she opened them, two men were on the ground, not moving, blood spreading underneath them in dark pools. Kenji was already on the stairs, moving fast. Maya followed. She had to get to Ari. The second floor was a hallway, long, dark, doors on both sides, more gunfire. Maya screamed, couldn't help it. The sound was torn from her throat. Kenji turned, grabbed her, pulled her behind him. "Stay down," he said. A man came out of one of the rooms, gun raised. Kenji shot him twice, center mass. The man dropped. Maya stared, couldn't look away. The man's eyes were still open, still looking at nothing. Kenji kept moving, kicked open another door. Empty. Another door. A man inside. He turned, started to raise his weapon. Kenji was faster. The man fell. His gun clattered across the floor. Last door, end of the hallway. Kenji tried the handle. Locked. He shot the lock, kicked the door open. Ari was inside, sitting on the floor, crying. Her face was red and blotchy, snot running from her nose. Maya was past Kenji before she knew she was moving. She grabbed Ari, pulled her into her arms, pressed her daughter's face against her chest. "I'm here," Maya whispered. "I'm here. I'm here." Ari was sobbing, her small body shaking. "Mommy, Mommy." "I've got you," Maya said. "I've got you." Behind her, Kenji stood in the doorway, gun still in his hand, blood on his sleeve. "We need to go," he said. "Now." Maya stood. Ari wrapped around her like a monkey, still crying, still shaking. They moved back through the hallway, past the bodies, down the stairs. Maya tried not to look, tried to focus on Ari's breathing, on the weight of her daughter in her arms. But she saw everything, the blood, the empty eyes, the aftermath of what Kenji did to get Ari back. Outside, sirens were screaming in the distance. They got into the van. Kenji climbed in beside her. The door slammed shut. The van was moving before Maya could process what had just happened. Ari was still crying. Maya rocked her, whispered nonsense words, anything to make her daughter feel safe. Across from her, Kenji was on the phone. His voice was calm, controlled, like he hadn't just killed 4 men. Maya looked at him, really looked, at the blood on his hands, the cold focus in his eyes, the way he moved through violence like it was breathing. She should have been terrified. She should have grabbed Ari and run the moment they were safe, but she wasn't terrified. She was grateful. Kenji ended the call, looked at her. "Are you hurt?" he asked. Maya shook her head. "Ari." "She's okay," Maya whispered. "She's okay." Kenji's shoulders dropped, just slightly, like he'd been holding tension he could finally release. "Thank you," Maya said. Kenji didn't respond, just looked at her daughter, at the small, shaking body pressed against Maya's chest. The van pulled into an underground garage, stopped. One of Kenji's men opened the door. "Get them cleaned up," Kenji said. "Medical check, full security sweep." The man nodded. Kenji climbed out of the van, started to walk away. "Kenji," Maya said. He stopped, turned back. Maya shifted Ari to one arm, stepped out of the van, closed the distance between them. She didn't think, didn't plan, just moved. She kissed him. Her lips pressed against his, hard, desperate. Her free hand grabbed his coat, pulled him closer. Kenji froze. Then his hand came up, cupped the back of her head, held her there. The kiss lasted 3 seconds, maybe 4. When Maya pulled back, her hands were shaking again. "I'm not sorry," she said. Kenji stared at her. His eyes weren't empty anymore. They were burning. "You should be," he said quietly. "But I'm not." Kenji's jaw tightened. His hand was still on the back of her head. His thumb brushed against her hair. "You know what I am now," he said. "What I do, what I'm capable of." "Yes." "And you're still standing here." "Yes." "Why?" Maya looked down at Ari, at her daughter's tear-stained face, at the small, fragile life she'd almost lost. "Because you brought her back," Maya said. She looked up at Kenji. "Because you didn't hesitate. Because when I asked you to be a monster, you were. For her." "That doesn't make it right," Kenji said. "I don't care about right," Maya whispered. "I care about her. And you saved her." Kenji's hand dropped from her head. He stepped back, put distance between them. "You should take Ari upstairs," he said. "Get her checked out, fed, let her sleep." "Where are you going?" "To finish this," Kenji said, "so they don't come back." He turned and walked away, disappeared into the shadows of the garage. Maya stood there holding Ari, her lips still tingling, her heart still racing. And she realized something that terrified her more than the gunfire, more than the bodies, more than anything she'd seen today. She didn't want him to go. She wanted him to stay. 6 months later, Maya stood on a balcony overlooking the Pacific Ocean and tried to remember what cold felt like. The mansion sat on a cliff 30 miles north of the city. White stone, floor-to-ceiling windows, a garden that someone else maintained, security cameras hidden in every corner, guards at the gate who smiled at Ari but never smiled at anyone else. Paradise. Prison. Maya still couldn't decide which. Behind her, through the open door, she could hear Ari laughing, playing with the new toys that appeared every week. Toys Ari didn't ask for, toys Maya didn't buy, toys that showed up because Kenji thought her daughter should have them. Maya wrapped, her arms around herself. The sun was warm, the breeze was gentle. Everything was perfect. She hated how perfect it was. Her phone buzzed. A text from the private doctor who came twice a week to check on Ari. "Check up tomorrow at 10. Ari's respiratory function continues to improve. No concerns." Maya deleted the message, stared at the ocean. No concerns. That's what her life was now. No concerns, no worry about rent, no panic about medicine, no fear that Ari would stop breathing in the middle of the night. Just safety, comfort, peace, and the knowledge of what it cost. Footsteps behind her. She knew them without turning. Kenji's steps were always measured, controlled, even when he thought no one was listening. "You've been out here for an hour," he said. "I like the view," Maya said. "You hate the view?" She turned, looked at him. He was in casual clothes today. Black shirt, dark jeans. He looked almost normal, except for the way he stood. Like he was always ready for something to go wrong. Like relaxation was just another form of warfare. "I don't hate it," Maya said. "You hate everything about this place," Kenji said. Not accusatory, just factual. "You've hated it since the day we moved in. Ari loves it." "That's not what I asked." Maya looked back at the ocean. "Does it matter what I think?" "Yes." "Why?" She faced him again. "I'm here. Ari's safe. That's what matters." Kenji crossed the distance between them, stopped a foot away, close enough to touch, too far to actually reach. "You haven't kissed me since that day," he said quietly. Maya's chest tightened. "I've been busy. You've been avoiding me. I'm standing right here." "No," Kenji said. "You're not. You haven't been here for months. You're just going through the motions. Maya opened her mouth, closed it. He was right. She knew he was right. What do you want me to say? She asked. The truth. The truth is complicated. Then uncomplicate it, Kenji said. Maya looked at him, at the man who'd killed 4 people to save her daughter, the man who'd moved them into a mansion with guards and cameras and more security than a bank, the man who made sure Ari had everything she needed and Maya had everything she thought she wanted. I don't know who I am anymore, Maya said finally. Kenji was quiet. 6 months ago, I was counting dollars to buy bread, Maya continued. I was watering down medicine. I was trying to figure out how to keep my daughter alive for 3 more days. That was my life. It was awful. It was exhausting. But it was mine. And now? Kenji asked. Now I don't have to count anything, Maya said. I don't have to water anything down. I don't have to worry about keeping Ari alive because she's healthier than she's ever been. She eats 3 meals a day. She has her own room. She goes to bed with a full stomach and clean clothes and medicine that actually works. That's a good thing, Kenji said. Is it? Maya's voice cracked. Because every time I look at her, I think about those men, the ones you killed, the ones who died so she could have this. They would have killed her, Kenji said. They would have killed you. They weren't innocent. I know, Maya whispered. That's the problem. I know, and I don't care. I'm glad they're dead. I'm glad you killed them. What does that make me? Kenji stepped closer. It makes you a mother. No, Maya said. It makes me a monster. Just like you. The words hung between them, sharp, heavy. Kenji didn't flinch. If you think I'm a monster, why are you still here? Because I love you, Maya said. The words came out before she could stop them, before she could think, and that makes it worse. Because I know what you are, what you do, and I love you anyway. Kenji's expression shifted. Something broke through the control, just for a second. Maya, don't, she said. Don't tell me it's okay. Don't tell me I'm not a monster, because I am. I gave you $10 and I destroyed myself. You saved my life. And you ruined mine. Maya's eyes burned. The woman who had $10 and a dying daughter, she was good. She was clean. She made the right choice even when it hurt. But that woman is dead. You killed her. I didn't. Yes, you did, Maya said. The moment you paid me back. The moment you cleared my debts. The moment you decided I was worth saving. You killed the woman I was and turned me into this. Someone who stands in a mansion and watches her daughter play and knows it's all built on blood. A tear slipped down her cheek. She wiped it away angrily. I look at Ari and I see her smile, Maya continued, and I think about those men's families, the people who loved them, the people who are crying because their sons or brothers or fathers aren't coming home, and I'm glad. I'm glad they're crying instead of me. What kind of person does that make me? Human, Kenji said softly. No, Maya said. Human is what I used to be. This is something else. Kenji reached for her. She let him. His hands cupped her face. His thumbs brushed away the tears. I would undo it if I could, he said. I would take back everything. The money, the mansion, all of it. If it meant you could go back to being the woman you were. But you can't, Maya whispered. No, Kenji said. I can't. Then what are we doing? Maya asked. What is this? Us. Here. Pretending we're normal when we both know we're not. Kenji was quiet for a long moment. Then, we're surviving. Same as we always have. Just in a different way. I don't want to just survive, Maya said. I want to live. I want to wake up and not think about the cost. I want to look at you and not see the bodies. I want to be with you and not feel guilty. Then stop feeling guilty, Kenji said. I can't. Why not? Because I'm not sorry, Maya said. Her voice broke. That's the worst part. I'm not sorry. Those men are dead. And Ari is alive, and I'm not sorry. I should be. I should feel terrible, but I don't. I just feel empty. Kenji pulled her closer, pressed his forehead against hers. Then be empty with me, he said quietly. Maya closed her eyes, let herself lean into him, let herself take the comfort, even though she didn't deserve it. Inside, Ari was still laughing. They stood like that for a long time, until the sun started to set, until the ocean turned gold. Finally, Maya pulled back, looked up at him. I need to tell you something, she said. What? That day in the alley, Maya said, when I gave you the money, I went home and I regretted it immediately. I thought I'd killed my daughter. I thought I'd chosen a stranger over my own child, and that made me the worst mother in the world. Kenji listened. But now, Maya continued, now I think that was the last good thing I ever did. The last purely good thing. Because after that, everything became about survival, about staying alive, about accepting your help and your money and your protection. And somewhere along the way, I stopped being good. I just became practical. There's nothing wrong with being practical, Kenji said. There is when it costs your soul, Maya whispered. She stepped back, put distance between them. I need you to know something, she said. I'm staying. I'm staying because Ari is safe here, because she's healthy here, because leaving would mean going back to that apartment and that fear, and I can't do that to her. But I'm not staying because I'm happy. I'm staying because I'm trapped. Trapped, Kenji repeated. By my own choices, Maya said. By the fact that I love you and hate what that means. By the knowledge that the only reason Ari is alive is because you're exactly what you are. A monster. My monster. Kenji's jaw tightened. And if I wasn't, if I was just a normal man, then Ari would be dead, Maya said simply, and I'd still be in that apartment, alone, counting my last dollars. So you're saying you need me to be this, Kenji said. I'm saying I need you, Maya said. All of you. The parts that kill, the parts that protect, the parts that terrify me, and the parts that make me feel safe. I need all of it, and I hate that I need it. Maya, I'm tired, she said. I'm tired of fighting this, tired of pretending I'm better than I am, tired of acting like I don't know exactly what you do when you leave at night. I know, I've always known, and I choose you anyway. She moved closer, took his face in her hands. I choose you, she said again, not because it's right, but because it's real, because you're the only thing in my life that makes sense, even though nothing about us makes sense. Kenji's hands covered hers. I don't deserve you. No, Maya said. You don't. But I don't deserve this life either, so maybe we're even. She kissed him, slow this time. Not desperate like the first time, just tired, resigned. When she pulled back, Kenji was looking at her like she was the only thing keeping him tethered to the earth. I love you, he said. I know, Maya whispered. That's the tragedy. Inside, Ari called for her. Mommy, come see. Maya smiled. It didn't reach her eyes. Coming, baby. She started to turn. Kenji caught her hand. Maya, he said, if you ever want to leave, really leave, I won't stop you. Maya looked down at their joined hands, at the way his fingers wrapped around hers. Strong, protective, possessive. Yes, you will, she said softly. Because I know too much. I've seen too much. Leaving isn't an option anymore. It hasn't been since the day you paid me back. She pulled her hand free, walked inside. Kenji stood on the balcony alone, watching the sun disappear into the ocean. Inside, Maya picked up Ari, spun her around, made her daughter laugh, and tried not to think about the woman she used to be. The one who had $10 and believed kindness mattered. That woman was dead, and Maya was what was left. Later that night, after Ari was asleep, Maya stood in front of the bathroom mirror. She stared at her reflection. at the woman in expensive pajamas with clear skin and healthy hair and eyes that looked older than they should. She barely recognized herself. 6 months ago, she'd been hollow-cheeked and exhausted, hands rough from work, body worn down from hunger and stress. Now she looked like someone else, someone who belonged in this mansion, someone who wore diamonds and slept in silk sheets and never worried about where the next meal was coming from. She touched her face. The skin was soft, well moisturized. No more cracked lips, no more dark circles. She looked better than she ever had. She felt worse than she ever had. Behind her, the door opened. Kenji stood in the doorway. "Can't sleep?" he asked. "No." He moved behind her, wrapped his arms around her waist, rested his chin on her shoulder. They both stared at their reflection. "What do you see?" Kenji asked. Maya was quiet for a long time. Then, a woman who traded everything for safety and got exactly what she paid for. Kenji's arms tightened around her. "Do you regret it?" he asked. "The $10? Maya thought about that day. The cold, the blood, the choice. She thought about Ari. Healthy, happy, safe. She thought about the bodies, the violence, the cost. "No," she said finally. "I don't regret it." "But," Kenji said. "But I regret who I became after," Maya whispered. "I regret that I'm not sorry. I regret that I look at you and see a killer and love you anyway. I regret that I'm standing here in a mansion built on blood and I'm comfortable." She met his eyes in the mirror. "I don't regret saving your life," she said. "I regret what it cost me to keep mine." Kenji turned her around, pulled her close. "Then let me carry that cost," he said against her hair. "Let me be the one who's damned. You just be the woman who saved me." Maya closed her eyes, pressed her face into his chest. "We're both damned," she whispered. "That's the point." They stood like that. Two people who found each other in the dark, who saved each other and destroyed each other in equal measure. Outside, the ocean crashed against the cliffs, relentless, unchanging, and Maya finally understood what she'd really given Kenji that night in the alley. Not $10, not even her kindness. She'd given him her soul, and he'd accepted it without question, because that's what monsters do. They take what's offered, even when they know the price is too high. Thank you for watching this story to the end. If you enjoyed the story, you will surely love the next one. It's as interesting and even more intriguing as can ever imagine, so do check it out. Click on the image showing on your screen right now to watch the next one.